So good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Saturday gentle yoga class. And as some of you know from taking my class, or if you're on my mailing list, over the past few years, I got more into astrology, became a professional astrologer. And right now, I've been kind of diving into the story of this mythical ancient story that correlates to Venus retrograde. We're in the middle of Venus retrograde right now. And this particular story dates back to Babylonian times in Sumeria, but you'll recognize it because then it shows up again in ancient Rome and Greece, and even currently in the Barbie movie, which is funny. But it's the myth of Inanna. And what happens with Inanna is that she makes this conscious choice, even though everything is going great in her life, and she doesn't have anything to want for, but she decides that there's more, and she chooses to go into the underworld to meet her shadowy sister and to learn about death. And it's the transformation that she goes through. And I'm going to share with you a little writing about this from Austin Coppock. And he says, "Where has the Queen of Heaven gone? To the underworld she went, having slipped down the sewer tunnels in search of her sister, her dark mirror. Every cycle is a sequence. Every sequence is experienced by living, feeling beings, is a story. The story of Venus's disappearance in the West, invisibility, and subsequent emergence in the East is a famous one. It's the story of Inanna's descent into the underworld and her relationship with her sister, Rishkagal. In astronomy, this is the dead center of Venus's retrograde, which happens tomorrow morning. So this is current. In myth, this is the middle of Venus and Inanna's journey. It's the point that shining Inanna, Queen of Heaven, meets her dark sister, Rishkagal, Queen of the Depths. In the story as it is written, Inanna commanded and demanded her way into the underworld, but was stripped of her power bit by bit. The judges of the dead pronounced her guilty, and she was sentenced by Rishkagal to hang, impaled on the grief and rage of her dark sister. Yet at this darkest moment, a prayer goes out and is heard by their father Enki. Enki creates two beings, neither male nor female, and sends them to the underworld with the food and water of life and important instructions to sympathize with Rishkagal's pain. Grieving Rishkagal is grateful for the compassionate sentiments and offers the pair many great boons. The beings refuse all gifts but one, the lifeless body of Inanna. Her sister consents, and the two give Inanna the food and water of life, restoring her." And so what this represents is this kind of dark night of the soul, this journey that we all go through at some point, being spiritual beings in these physical human bodies, right? Where we go deeper and we say, wait, what else is there to this? We either search for greater meaning or we're thrust into these dark places by the circumstances around us. And what we find can happen is that through this process of darkness and of what we could call suffering, we emerge on the other side like the phoenix rising, having learned from our experiences, gained wisdom, and become transformed in the process. And this is something that, like, that right there is why I do yoga. You may be like, really? Because on our yoga mat, this practice, this spiritual practice of asana and movement, invites us to find union. That's the name of yoga, is this yoke, to find union with all of these parts of ourselves. You know, Inanna meets her sister, her dark mirror, her other half. It's not something outside of ourselves, it's something within ourselves. And when we come to our mat, whether we're conscious of it or not, a lot of the things that we have buried and suppressed, or the emotions that didn't energetically pass through us completely at the time that we felt them, come back to the surface. And we're given this opportunity to hold space for ourselves in a different way. And through that, we find healing and oneness. And so we'll practice with that today for fun. So come to a comfortable seat. You can sit up tall on your props so that the tops of your thighs are higher than your knees. Sit up tall and close your eyes. And with your eyes closed, take a moment and allow yourself to land here. Giving space for all parts of yourself to be present. So you can first become aware of your physical body on your mat in this room, feeling the parts of yourself that are on the ground and allowing those parts to get heavy and rooted. As you inhale, lengthen your spine, growing yourself a little taller and allowing the crown of your head to rise up to the sky. On your next inhale, float your shoulders up, take them back and down. And then please relax your tongue in your mouth, letting your tongue get heavy and wide on the lower palate. Perhaps you make a little space between your lower jaw and your upper jaw. And then notice your thinking mind, if you haven't noticed it by now. And allow it to be as present as possible. So maybe you notice that thoughts start to take you out of the present moment. Can you guide them back? Practicing this non-attachment to our thoughts and letting them float by like a cloud in the sky, or drop down like a pebble to the bottom of a clear lake. Once again, notice your breath. Allow your breath to flow freely and effortlessly. And notice with curiosity if that's not possible right in this moment. Granting yourself grace. You can bring your awareness to your emotional body, and whatever it is that you're bringing with you on your mat today, be it happiness and calm, grief or sadness, anger, frustration. So here we just make a container for all of these parts of ourselves to exist and coexist with each other, to be just as we are without having to change ourselves or put on an identity or a mask about it. And then very subtly here, lean back. You could bring your awareness, your inner gaze back and down. And in this way, we lean into the support of something greater than ourselves. This spiritual connection to something greater, something higher. Whatever word resonates with you around that higher power. Or it could even just be the support of your loved ones, community, family, and friends. But here we recognize that we are not alone. And then please draw your hands together in front of your heart. I invite you to set an intention for your practice today. And perhaps it's just to be open to this idea that we've been through many transformations in our lifetime, and that this will always continue. And to allow ourselves the opportunity to experience these highs and lows, the duality of light and dark, in such a way that we don't resist or deny it or disassociate from it, but rather to practice this yoga of union and allowing both our light and our shadow to coexist. And if that doesn't resonate with you, you can set any intention you want. It could just be to relax. So let's begin our class and seal in our intentions with 3 cleansing breaths. Take a deep breath in. Let it go with a sigh. 2 more like that. And then gently bow your head to your heart, honoring yourself in advance for your practice today. And then slowly open your eyes and release your hands. So I'll take a blanket. We're going to set up for a supported fish pose or a supported back bend. You'll open your blanket so that it's a rectangle like this. And if you find it, like that, you just fold it in half. Good, and then with your rectangle, you'll put that down and roll it up. So you just have a little bit of a longer blanket roll that's not quite as thick as if you were to do it the other way. And then you'll place that across your mat. This blanket roll will come to a position on your back that's right behind your heart center. That's right across the shoulder blades. So you'll sit with your knees bent, feet on the ground. You'll take a breath in and get a nice tall spine. And then you'll lower yourself down. Bring your head down to the ground. Your arms come to a cactus here. Your shoulders don't have to touch the ground, but they're moving towards it. Your elbows, the backs of your arms, the backs of the hands all rest on the floor. And then you can decide what to do with your legs. You could keep your knees bent, or you could take your feet wide and knock your knees in, constructive rest. You could extend your legs long. You could bring the soles of your feet together and take your knees wide. But notice as you play with the position of your legs, if there's one that kind of takes the sensation out of your upper back, and don't do that one. So there's a tendency in life and on our mat to want to avoid those feelings of discomfort, to choose the path of least resistance and not increase our suffering. And yet, the reason that we do yoga, whether we kind of are aware of it or not, is to practice contorting ourselves in these strange shapes and positions that we might not find ourselves in our daily lives. Not only because it's so healthy for our spine and our body, but also because it gives us an opportunity to pause and be and breathe in discomfort, to ride out the storm of suffering in a way that's centered and calm within ourselves. So in our practice, we never want to be in physical pain, but people who are new to yoga are sometimes surprised that it doesn't feel good. The feeling good comes after, much like the myth of Inanna. So here, see if you could deepen your breath. If you could relax your body in such a way that you release the need to hold yourself up You can surrender your weight to the earth. Allow your blanket, your prop to support you, the ground beneath you to support you. And oftentimes we find that the longer we're in a pose, all of a sudden another layer of tension gets stripped away that we didn't even realize was there. It's like, wait, I thought I was relaxed, but oh no, I'm more relaxed now. Isn't that interesting? Just be here for a few more breaths. So see if there's anything else you could let go of or release or let get stripped away. And then on your next inhale, bring your knees up to center if they're not there already. Take your feet as wide as your mat, keep them parallel. And then if this does not work for your upper back, you could remove the blanket, but you could try it this way first. Take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, drop your knees gently and slowly over to the right. You could turn your gaze over your left shoulder. If that creates tension in the neck, keep your gaze up. And you want to move a little more slowly than you would if you didn't have the blanket beneath you. So you'll inhale and gently bring everything back up to center, and exhale, bring your knees over to the left, take your gaze out over the right shoulder. See if you could relax your shoulders, relax your tongue. We'll do one more time each side. So inhale back to center and slowly go back over, knees to the right. Inhale back to center and slowly knees to the left, gaze to the right. Inhale back to center and gently roll to your right side. You'll very slowly come all the way up, move your blanket off to the side, and transition to all fours, to hands and knees. Bring your knees just under your hips or slightly behind. Take a look down the front of your body and see that your heels are hidden behind your thighs. So your feet are parallel and in line with your knees. Then you can bring your gaze back forward, and as you inhale, arch your spine, come into your cow tilt, gaze up. As you exhale, round your back in cat tilt, tailbone lengthens, chin to your chest. Move with your breath here. Inhale, come back to a neutral spine. Take your knees wide, big toes together. Send your hips back towards your heels and find a wide knee child's pose. You could bring your forehead to your mat or to a block, or stack your fists and rest your head that way. Then inhale, come back up to hands and knees. This time, you'll take your hands a couple inches forward and a couple of inches wider. So maybe part of your hands come off of your mat onto the floor. And then you'll just take a big hip circle here. So you'll bring your hips up towards your left wrist and swing them over to your right, back towards your right heel, over to the left. So this is called marauding bear, where you're just moving very slowly as if you were a bear coming out of hibernation. And letting this feel good on your body, not worrying so much about whether you're doing it right, but instead bringing your awareness inward and noticing how it feels on your body. The next time you come forward into the center of your mat, you'll pause and switch directions. Then come back to center, walk your hands back in so you're in your standard tabletop position here. And if you're too close to the wall, you'll have to kind of crawl yourself forward to the top of your mat. And extend your right leg long behind you with your toes tucked under on the ground. So bring your foot down to the ground. And then press out through your heel, getting a calf stretch. Relax the space right behind your heart. Shoulder blades on your back, heart melts, reach out through the crown of your head. And then from here, you'll take your right foot. You're going to pick it up, cross it over, and bring it back down onto the ground. So it looks like this. It will come off of your mat. And then you'll curve your spine and look over your left shoulder towards your right foot. Stretching through your side, stretching out your hip. Yeah, got it. Come back through center. You could do a round of cat-cow, or you could take a moment in child's pose if your knees need a break. Your knees are screaming, pad them with a blanket. And then we'll set up for the second side. So you come back to your standard tabletop, extend your left leg back behind you, toes curled under on the ground, press out through your heel. And as you press out through your heel, can you also lengthen and extend out through the crown of your head? If this resonates with you, you could imagine a line of energy moving from the top of your head all the way down your back body and out through the heel of your foot. And then another line of energy moving up from your toes, up the front of your body and out through the crown of your head. So there's this duality of movement as we're stretching in both directions. And then the same thing on this side. You'll pick up your left foot, cross it over, bring it off of your mat to the right. Bring your toes back down, press out through your heel, and then curve your spine over to the right as you look out over your right shoulder to your left foot. And again, this brings up that concept of breathing through discomfort. And relaxing into it. Go ahead and release and find your way into downward facing dog. Send your hips up and back, stretch back. You can pedal out through your legs here, bend one knee and send the opposite heel towards the earth. On your next inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. And exhale as you fold. Press down into your feet. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway to a flat back. Exhale, step back, downward facing dog. Inhale, come forward to a high plank, high push-up. Knees can come down or you can keep them lifted. As you exhale, find chaturanga, come all the way down onto your belly. Point your toes, press the tops of the feet down. Shoulders up, back and down, and inhale, heart lifts and cobra. Exhale, downward facing dog. Here, see that you have blocks at the top of your mat. And then you'll come into down dog again. Right leg lifts as you inhale. Lunge it all the way forward as you exhale. So you may have to take quite a few steps to get your foot all the way up to the top of your mat so that your right knee stacks over your right ankle. And then bring your hands up onto your blocks. And maybe they're on your blocks at their lowest setting, medium setting, or maybe you need more space and you bring them up even higher. Then everybody lift your hips higher than you think you should. Draw your right hip back in space. Bring your left hip forward. Press your left thigh straight and high to the sky. And then sink your pelvis back down. Maybe your right thigh becomes parallel to your mat. Now look forward, lengthen your spine. Take your shoulder blades onto your back. And we'll move through a little pulsation here. As you inhale, straighten your right leg, and exhale, bend your knee. Move with your breath here. Inhale to straighten, exhale to bend. See if you could keep your back leg active and strong, pressing your left thigh up to the sky. And the next time you bend your right knee, keep it there. Bring your left hand down onto the ground. It could even come off of your mat onto the floor. And then inhale, sweep your right arm up as you twist. Exhale, release. Bring your right hand back to the block, your left hand to your block. So you're back up on your blocks, framing your front foot. And as you step your back foot forward, you're going to cross it behind your right foot. So you'll step forward, cross your feet. So it looks like this. Looks like you put your feet on backwards. And then bow over your legs, sending some breath, especially to that left hamstring. So if possible, you straighten your legs here. If that's not possible, you keep your knees bent. Or you could even kind of step your left foot back a little bit if you need to, rather than having the feet right next to each other. Then you'll unwind here and bring your feet back to parallel and fold forward in Uttanasana. which means intense forward fold. So what happens when we're in discomfort? When things are a little challenging in a posture? What is our process? Do we start to think about something else? Do we start to think about what we don't like? Inhale, lengthen halfway. Exhale, step back, downward facing dog. You can move through a vinyasa here. You can hang out in down dog. You could take a breather in child's pose. Completely up to you. There's no right or wrong option to take. From down dog, we'll inhale our left leg to the sky. Exhale, plunge your left foot all the way up in between your hands. Onto your blocks here, framing your front foot. And same thing. So first, lift your hips higher than you think. Give yourself some room to play with so that you can take your left hip back, bring your right hip forward. Press your right thigh up to the sky and then sink your pelvis down to the ground so you bend more deeply into your front knee. Shoulder blades on your back, gaze forward, breathe. And then we'll find that pulsation and flow as we bend and straighten. Inhale, straighten your front leg. Exhale, bend your knee. Move with your breath. And the next time you bend your knee, pause here. Bring your right hand down, off to the side, even off of your mat a little maybe, and inhale, sweep your left arm up as you twist. Exhale, release. Bring your hands to frame your front foot and come back up onto your blocks. And then step your right foot forward and cross it behind your left leg. See if you could bring your feet parallel-ish, even though they'll be an odd shape there. So it just looks like you switched feet. Fold over your legs, breathe. A few more breaths here. And then go ahead and unwind. Bring your right foot parallel to your left. Fold over your legs, Uttanasana. Inhale, lengthen to a flat back, and exhale, take a big step back with your left leg. So you're back in a high lunge here. This time, hug your legs in towards each other, and when you feel stable and ready, inhale, reach your arms up. So you'll want to find a dristy focal point, something that's not moving and kind of off in the distance. And then you'll bring your arms into cactus here. Bend your elbows down, lift your heart up, take an inhale, and as you exhale, see if you can twist very slowly to the right. Maybe you don't go very far, that's okay. Inhale, come back to center, straighten out your arms, reach your arms up. Exhale, release, bring your hands down, downward facing dog. You can move through a vinyasa here or not. From down dog, inhale, walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Exhale as you fold. Press down into your feet. Inhale, reach your arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Take a moment here, a little breather. Feel the beating of your own heart. Allow the blood to start to move from your head back down to your body. And then we'll do the second side. So inhale, open your eyes, reach your arms up. Exhale, bow forward and fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway to a flat back. And exhale, take a big step back with your right leg. So you find your high lunge once again, and then when you feel stable and steady, you'll inhale, reach your arms up. And then you know where we're going this time. So you bring your arms into cactus, keep your shoulder blades on the back of your heart. Take a breath in. As you exhale, little twist over to the left. So you're twisting towards your bent knee. See if you keep your back leg straight. Oof. Inhale, unwind. Stretch your arms back up, lift your heart up. Exhale, release. Downward facing dog. And this time, let's all find child's pose. Knees wide, big toes together. Hips back towards your heels. Breathe. Just coming around with some straps, because I forgot. And then from here, we'll come on up, come to all fours. So we're going to come back into a lunge, but we're going to do it a different way. So this is a good way in case you ever need to modify for whatever reason, instead of just stepping your foot forward from down dog. So here you'll walk your hands over to the left, and you'll step your right foot forward. And then you'll walk your hands back until they frame your front foot. So much easier that way, no? You'll You'll keep your back knee down, and in fact, this is a good time to pad your knee if they're sensitive. Got a lot of Capricorn energy like me, creaky knees. So here, back knee's down, front foot is forward, and you let your hips sink down and forward. A few breaths. And then you're going to play here. You're going to see how this works with your body. So some of you might even want to be up on blocks under your hands. And we're going to bend our back knee. Bring your left foot up to the sky. And holy moly, that might be a lot. That might be enough. If you cramp, I'm having a little cramp. So you can bring your foot down, kind of stretch it out. But here we're doing a thigh stretch. And so this could be it. This could be like, that's enough, I'm good. Or you could keep your left hand down, reach back with your right hand for your foot or your ankle. This is one of those pretzel-y moments. They're like, why am I doing yoga? Pull your right shoulder back if you have the bind. Keep sinking your hips down and forward. So you should be feeling a big stretch in your thigh, in your left thigh. You shouldn't feel it in your knee. You're not on your kneecap. Everybody okay? Everybody still alive in the room? Okay. So we breathe through it. Go ahead and release. Bring your hands back to frame your front foot. From here, we're going to have two options. We're going to move into a pigeon. So if you want to do a weight-bearing pigeon, you'll follow these instructions. And if not, you'll do this on your back. So if you're doing a weight-bearing pigeon, you'll toe heel your foot all the way over to the left-hand side of your mat. And you'll bring your right knee down. Yeah, you're just moving into pigeon a different way, right? So your right knee's outside of your right hip. You walk your back, toes back and in towards midline. See if you could level off your hips, drawing your right hip back, your left hip forward. And find your full expression of pigeon. Now, if this doesn't work for you, or if you can't get your right knee outside of your right hip, you just do this on your back, like this. So it's the same shape of the leg. It's just one is weight bearing, which means the weight of your body is pressing down. And this one is not. You're resting on your back, and the shape of your legs can open without the weight of the body pressing onto it. I have this quote by Brene Brown written down in one of my old notebooks here. And it's very fitting for this class. She says, you can't get to courage without walking through vulnerability. And that is a metaphor for this underworld journey, where we have to allow ourselves to get stripped away. When we practice yoga, we create a safe space to do that, to be just as we are without the fear of being hurt or judged. And it's through this process of being vulnerable and being open-hearted and being present to all that is within us, so that we rise again courageous, brave, fearless, and transformed. On your next inhale, slowly make your way into down dog wherever you're at. And once you arrive in down dog, we'll come to a three-legged dog. You'll take your right leg up to the sky, bend your knee, stack your hips. We call this dog and hydrant pose. Go ahead and release. Come down to hands and knees, and then we'll do the modified step forward to find our lunge on the other side. You'll walk your hands over to the right, step your left foot forward. Pad your back knee if you removed the padding at any point. Bring your hands back to frame your front foot. Sink your pelvis down and forward. And when you're ready, bend your back knee. Find a thigh stretch on the second side. You start to cramp. You can come out. Maybe lift your back knee up, do a little stretch. And you could stay right here, or you could keep your right hand down, reach back for your right foot with your left hand. You could even use your strap here if you are feeling like you want to lasso. And then if you have the bind, you'll curl your left shoulder back. Open up your heart, maybe lean back. Breathe. And then we notice what's the pattern when we're in discomfort. Do you tighten your jaw? Do you hold your breath? You start to make a grocery list. So much of our patterns come to light in our practice, and we can get to know ourselves. We can get to know what happens when we go into that shadow, into that darkness. Where do we turn? What are all the ways in which we try to escape or survive it? Go ahead and slowly release. And then from here, we'll find our way into pigeon on the second side. If you did it on your back on the first side, you'll do it on your back again. Otherwise, you'll toe heel your foot over to the right side of your mat. Bring your knee down to the left. Level out your hips. Find your fullest expression of pigeon. So the beauty of yoga is that we can modify every shape to work with our body. That it doesn't matter if you're doing this pose one way or another. That the stretch and the access point may be different, but the space that we reside in is the same. And this is true of these larger archetypal journeys. We all have a different entry point. We all have a different story. And yet the experience is universal. And not only is it universal between all of us in this room, but it's universal for humans for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. And that's why so much power lies in these archetypes and these stories. And helps us to remember that we're not alone. Let's take a few more breaths here. And then you'll slowly start to make your way back into down dog this final time. Just so that you could stretch it out and take your left leg high to the sky, bend your knee, step your hips. Go ahead and release, and you'll make your way onto your back. Have your strap handy, please. And so take a nice full body stretch. You can say a little prayer of thanks that we're laying down. And then take your strap and hug your right knee into your chest. You'll lace your strap over the ball of your right foot and extend your right leg up to the sky. Slide your hands, actually just your right hand, can slide down on the straps far enough so that you could get your right shoulder back onto the ground. See if you could work your right leg towards straight. And notice if your right hip is hiking up towards your right armpit, press it down and away. Bring your left hand onto your left thigh and see if you could keep your left leg grounded and rooted here. Take an inhale and being mindful of your neighbor, you'll open your leg out to the right. Inhale back through center. Change hands on your strap. Left hand comes to the straps. Take your right arm out to that cactus arm once more. Big breath in and exhale, guide your leg across your body over to the left. You'll roll onto your outer left hip. Look out over your right shoulder as you twist. So here, the more you can get your low back towards parallel, the better. Inhale your leg back up to center, roll back onto your back. Release your strap and take your hands and interlace them behind your right thigh, so your right leg stays up still. Press your thigh into your hands and then point and flex your right foot. And then circle your ankle in one direction and then the other. Release the clasp of your hands, keep your leg up, point your toes, bring your hands to your low belly and draw your low belly in towards the ground. Slowly lower your leg all the way down to the earth as you lengthen your leg out of your pelvis. It's getting really long. Good, and then you'll pause here and you'll feel the difference between your left side and your right side. It could be wildly different. And then we'll even that out and do the left side. Hug your left knee into your chest. Grab your strap. Take it over the ball of your left foot. Extend your left leg high to the sky. Slide your left hand down your straps until you could connect your shoulder back to the mat. Press up through your left heel. You try to work your left leg towards straight. Bring your right hand to the top of your right thigh. Encourage that leg to stay grounded as you open your leg out to the left. Inhale, bring your leg back up to center, change hands on your straps. Take your left arm out to the side this time in the cactus arm. Big breath in, and as you exhale, twist. Guide your leg across your body over to the right. You'll roll onto the outer right hip. Look over your left shoulder. Once again, notice if your left hip starts to move up towards your left armpit. See if you could press it away, make more space and length through the left side body. Inhale, come back through center. Release your strap. Interlace your hands behind your left thigh. Point and flex your foot. Circle your ankle in one direction and then the other. And then point your toes. Release the clasp of your hands. Bring your hands to your low belly and draw your belly in. Slowly lengthen and lower your left leg all the way down to the ground. And then you have two choices here. If this feels so good that you just want to stay like this in Shavasana, and you're like, lady, there's no way I'm moving, then you stay just like this. Or if you'd rather take your legs up the wall, then you'll hug your knees into your chest. Roll to one side. Come on up. You'll come to sit with one hip up against the wall. You can have a blanket handy for your head. You have another one there to cover up with if you desire. And come into legs up the wall. You'll sit, knees bent, one hip up against the wall. Moving back on your hands with a tall spine, and then as gracefully as possible, you'll swivel and take your legs up onto the wall. Remembering that grace comes from within, it doesn't matter what you look like. And then once your legs are up, you may have to shimmy in and scooch closer to the wall or a little further away, depending on what feels best for your body. And then here, you'll let me know if you don't want to receive Reiki in this final relaxation pose. And to do that, you could just raise a hand. Otherwise, I'll come around and you'll feel my hands on your head. And let's all take a deep breath in. And let it go to the side. You could keep your hands on your body or have your arms down by your sides with your palms face up. Once again, bring your awareness back to your tongue and your mouth. And let your tongue get heavy and wide
on the lower palate. Widen the corners of your eyes and let your eyeballs descend back into their sockets. And give yourself permission here to fully relax and surrender into your final relaxation pose. gently. Awareness back into your body. So start to wiggle your fingers, toes. Gently bend your knees and slide your feet down the wall. Pause here. In your own time, there's no rush. You can roll to one side. Pause curled up in a little ball, giving yourself a hug. Or move to find your way back up to a comfortable seat. Whatever feels best for you. Eventually, we'll all come back to sit upright. And once you arrive, close your eyes. Once again, draw your hands back to heart center. And take a moment here to call back your intention that you set at the beginning of class. Feel free to modify or change it in any way to use for the rest of your day or your week, carrying it off of your mat and out into your life. And take a moment just to honor all of the times that you've made this journey of Inanna, both into the underworld and back out again. Honoring the full spectrum of human emotion and experience, and honoring it with gratitude for how it shaped who we are and brought us right here, right now, right to where we're supposed to be. And let's end our class and seal in our intentions with a final cleansing breath. Take a deep breath in and let it go. Gently bow your head to your heart. The light within me recognizes and honors this very same light in each one of you. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you all so much for your practice and for being here with me. See you again next week, hopefully. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.